everyone. It's Erica Dela Cruz back from the San Diego International Film Festival. Beside me, we have Mr. Joey Travolta, and we are chatting about his beautiful film. It's screening tonight. If you haven't made it to the festival, there's still time, and it's called Carol of the Bells.
Yes.
How many times have you seen it already, Joey?
I've seen it probably 25 times,
25 times. Okay.
and I cry every time.
So let's get into maybe why that is. The film centers.
Baby, that's why.
You're a big baby.
I cry if they have a sale on pizza. So
Yeah.
no.
I hear that the film is, I believe, is it 70% of the crew cast combined is are working actors and crew with disabilities?
Yes, 70% of the physical crew for the production were trained through our programs. I have a company called Inclusion Films that trains adults that are neurodiverse in filmmaking, and I wanted to give them the experience of doing a full-on feature film because we make short films.
Yeah.
And so we brought in of the facilities that we had around California. They sent the teacher down, they sent a couple of students down, and we made this feature in 12 days. And it's a beautiful film, but the bigger story is how it was made. So, yeah.
So the story of how it was made, was it what was the experience like to create a feature-length film 12 days with what I'm assuming, did the crew have prior experience? Was this a once-in-a-lifetime to be hired?
No, these are people that we trained at the facility. So they have been on. So I do camps for children with autism all over the country. And some of the students that go through that learn camera, editing, whatever, when I go out on the road for summer, they come on and they get to apply what they've learned.
Yeah.
This was a bigger stage because they really were in each department and grip, camera, lighting, sound, everything.
So
yeah.
exciting. So can we chat a little bit about, I'm not sure if he's the lead, but one of the actors, some of his projects include Breaking Bad. Is that correct?
RJ Mitte, yeah. He was fantastic,
And
yeah.
How did you come across RJ? Was it?
Well, we're part of the Bentonville Film Festival too, and which is all about inclusion and diversity. And we do a camp the week before the festival, and then we screen it. And then this past year, we debuted Carol of the Bells at the film festival. But the year before, I was there, and I said, you know what? And this was like in May.
Yeah.
And I said, I got to find a script. So I got in touch with Gail Williamson, who is an agent for folks with disabilities, and she had a script, Carol of the Bells. And I had met RJ, and I said, hey, I got this film. You're perfect for it. And he came aboard right away after he read the script. So.
That's incredible. So an agent for actors with disabilities, your cast, your crew. There's significant importance to this month, right? Is it?
Well, this month is National Disability and Employment Month.
Yeah.
So this is like, this is it. This is what it's all about. Everybody's talking about doing. We're doing it, which is really, really cool.
So you're on the ground floor training them. Then they get to see this finished product and project that they've actually had a hand in. Will you speak a little bit to anyone watching who's maybe not as familiar with the subject? What does it take to hire on someone with disabilities? Are there specific measures and steps, or how can they get involved or start to consider that for their own companies?
Well, I think the big thing, and we're involved in a very big PSA about hiring folks that are neurodiverse. It's going to launch next week. And we had 6 of our guys working on it, and all the actors were special needs as well. And everybody is going towards that. This film is talking, what the important message is that given an opportunity, when people are trained, they can do this job. And they do a great job, and the film shows that.
That's gorgeous that you've delved into the capability, because it's there.
It's all about abilities. We don't even talk about this. We take the dis out of disabilities.
I love that.
Yeah. So it's all about abilities. Yeah.
Amazing. So diving in a little more personally, you started in this field, right? Were you
I was a special ed teacher back in my brother was doing Welcome Back, Kotter at the time, and actually we would talk about the characters that were at the children's home that I was teaching at, and a lot of his character had influences from some of the kids that I'd worked with. But I'd always had a soft spot for folks with different abilities.
And was that why? Did that play a role in taking that film trajectory to just stay aligned with what you are already doing? Did you ever consider a more traditional route? Because you're making such an impact with this one.
I did. I mean, I directed 15 films before this.
Not
Then I took
including-
this will be the 16th. No, I took a break from that to start these programs and camps. So for the last 13 years, that's been my passion. But it's always been a passion of mine to work with that. And that comes from my dad. My dad was the most inclusive. I just can't. I mean, if I'm half the man that my father was, I'd be a really good man.
Yeah, I love that. Well, yeah, you're inspiring everyone here at the festival. Can you tell us a little bit about when the cast and crew saw the screening for the first time? Was it amazing? How long ago was it?
We screened it in Bentonville.
Okay.
And the cast, a good deal. It wasn't totally finished. We still had to do the sound mix and everything. But RJ didn't go because he doesn't like to watch himself on screen.
Oh, ever?
But in the Q&A, he didn't shut up. So,
Okay, got it.
so
he spoke to making it. He just hadn't seen it.
Yeah, exactly. But, you know, he loves the mission that we have, and he's a big fan of what we're doing, and he did a great job. But, yeah, the cast just loved it, and it was well received, yeah.
I love it. So for those out there watching, maybe considering coming to see Carol of the Bells tonight for the screening, maybe a synopsis or a little plot summary that we can share?
Yeah. So basically, it's about a young man, R.J. Mitte, that's in search of his birth mother. And he's always resented her for giving him up. And I can't give all the details out, but when he finally finds her, he finds out that she has a developmental disability.
Oh, wow.
So then he can't blame her anymore. And it's what everybody goes through. And then giving a child up for adoption that she didn't want to give up. So it hits on a lot of areas.
Yeah, that's a whole other way. And when you read the script, did you know immediately?
I cried. I mean, I just and everybody that reads it, you know, cry. Is this a sweet movie? Do you have time for a quick story?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, my next question was any inside scoop or behind the scenes we don't know? Yeah.
I knew. No, kidding.
Yeah, you knew.
I knew. So when we had the screening in Bentonville, the tissue company put boxes of tissues on every chair.
Did you get a tissue company as your sponsor or no?
No, it was just for the screening.
Okay.
And I said, you know, I know I cry with it, but what if people don't cry? You got a box of tissues. They're going to be wondering what it is.
Yeah, yeah.
So there was a young man, John's Crazy Socks, a man with Down syndrome that makes and designs socks. And he designed Carol of the Bells Christmas socks.
Oh, no way.
And so they had socks and tissues on every chair. Now I'm in the back, and the only way out through the front, everybody would see the director leave his screening if I start crying, I have to blow my nose, whatever. So it starts, and I'm in the back by myself, and all of a sudden I start crying.
Oh.
And then my nose starts running, and I start reaching for tissues. There was no tissues. But there was John's Crazy Socks.
Oh, God. Yeah, yeah. And in the dark, it's all the same.
Exactly. I blew my nose in the foot and wiped my eyes with the leg part of it. So that's
Oh, my God. That's good. That's so great. Well, no, that's actually an even better synopsis as to what to expect. Expect potentially to cry. We have a tearjerker, but also a heartwarming one, I think.
Heartwarming one. It's a sweet film, yeah.
Oh, amazing. Thank you for bringing this to the festival. Yeah, and this perspective. And
Well, the festival found us. They do a great job of inclusion and diversity, and that's what it's all about. Yeah.
Exactly. So, and it's interesting because a lot of us go straight to culturally diverse, and sometimes the actors and crew with disabilities that you've shined a light on aren't really remembered and kind of forgotten in the whole diversity conversation. So thank you.
They don't forget them when they work with our folks. They don't forget them. Yeah.
Thank you for what you're doing, and we're super excited to have you. Everyone, Joey Travolta, come out, watch Carol of the Bells this evening, Saturday. Bring your tissue or be prepared to take off those socks. We'll see you next time.